Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Flash episode 1 video. So much stuff happened. We got a lot of information, not everything that we need to find out who the villains are, but I think we have some clues about Zoom and the way they're going to be treating the metahumans this season. So I'll try to explain Earth 2 as well as some of the new characters. A new round of the Reverse Flash Ring giveaway starts now. Harrison Wells sends you in his last will and testament. He's given all kinds of rings away. So all you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. I'm actually going to double it. It'll be 2 rings that I'm giving away. So let's do top 10 WTF moments, starting with Barry versus the Rogues with Firestorm. Great dream sequence that we find out. Just like, perfect takedown. Everything is awesome. And then we get back to Star Labs and it's like, wait a minute. Everyone's so happy and Harrison Wells gets out of his chair. He's not dead. What the hell's going on? Let me know the minute you figured out that this was a dream sequence. For me, it was when Harrison Wells wheeled up. I was like, well, clearly this isn't a flashback because it's happening in present day. But then he has that line where he says, there's nothing left that I have to teach you. It looks like you're ready to do this on your own. And then boom, it just flashes into present day. Very awesome way to open the episode. Very awesome transition too. Everything isn't totally crazy and depressing, but you kind of see that like Barry has been neglecting his normal life. It almost looks like there are bills piling up, but later we find out that it's something else. On to number 9, the last will and testament of Harrison Wells. So like it has to be said here, this is the Reverse Flash Harrison Wells. This isn't the original Harrison Wells. He has that line where he's like, I realize that we're not enemies. I helped raise you all those years. Very, very poignant things. I was surprised at how quickly he turned around. This is something he would have recorded before that final fight with Barry, and he seemed pretty evil in that final fight. I was kind of expecting him to give Barry something else, but when he said, the thing that you want most, it was his father out of prison. But he does have that really awesome line where he says, it's not going to make you happy, like this won't fix all your problems. So he confesses to the murder, Dad comes out, everybody's happy. On to number 8, everybody is getting a little bit happier, Barry and Caitlin's reunion. This was actually one of the most awkward, and I think one of the most touching ones too, just because you know how much she loved Ronnie, and they do think that he's dead, although he's definitely not dead. I know you're all wondering about Firestorm, so just to explain what happened, Ronnie either got sucked into Earth 2, or he got sucked into the Firestorm Matrix. There's a couple different ways they could explain Ronnie coming back. I mean, he'll definitely eventually come back at a certain point. But because this Jay Jackson person is going to go to Legends of Tomorrow, I'm not expecting to see Ronnie, at least in present day, anytime soon. If we see him, it'll be in flashbacks. It'll be like when Caitlin remembers him. I don't think that we're going to meet the new Firestorm until episode 3. I think that's what all the slates on all the trailers have been saying. But on to number 7, moving around Team Flash, Iris, still working at the paper, is kind of like Barry's voice of reason. She's kind of the one that like slaps him in the face, tells him to like get out of his funk. It mostly comes through when they're fighting Atom Smasher, but she has like a couple scenes with him where she kind of says the same thing, where it's like, okay, time to move on, time to move forward. That was like a big theme of the episode, moving forward. This is what needs to be done. This is why you need our help. Get a hold of yourself. Stop being such a bitch. The funny thing is that this Iris West would have come in really handy during Arrow Season 3 when Felicity was crying too much. She would have just like shook her, like slapped her around a little bit. Get a hold of yourself. So if you're confused about how Iris is going to fit into Team Flash in Season 2, at least it seems like this is how it's going to happen. She was the one that gave them the information that they needed to figure out what was going on with Atom Smasher's powers. So if you look at Team Arrow, just imagine Team Flash splitting some of the things that Felicity does. Iris collects the information, then Caitlin, Cisco, and Martin Stein process it. She's also really important for Barry's emotional journey, so there's just like a number of different places that they can fit her in episodes. I won't say anything about Wally West yet, just because we haven't seen him, but this is actually a picture that the actor tweeted, so it looks like he's going to be a blonde on the series, which I think is pretty interesting. On to number 6, next stop on Team Flash, 6 months later, Cisco is now working with Joe's metahuman task force, or at least it looks like he's slowly starting to put it together. I think as we get more Earth 2 villains, it'll start to coalesce. The boot that he was making for them in this episode was probably just like the first of many things that he's going to be making for them. Cisco will never stop making gadgets. That's one of the most fun things about his character. Usually the best ones, like the guns, end up getting him in the most trouble. I really love the way that they've continued the energy that he and Joe have together. They did some side field trips together last season, and they're just kind of continuing that this season. Like if you remember the funny moment they had when they went to Barry's old house last year, and the cougar was there. Expect a lot more of that level of energy, but now it just seems like they're that much closer to being super bros, even though technically Joe would be Cisco's boss. On to number 5, investigating the murder of one Albert Rothstein. Now, Albert Rothstein is Atom Smasher from the comics. He's had a couple different aliases. The one that died is the Earth 1 version, the R version. The one that killed him was the Earth 2 version. Now they're just teeing this up. Episode 2, like next week's episode, is called The Flash of Two Worlds, so that's when they're really going to explain the multiverse. But you probably noticed in the background of this scene, Jay Garrick snapping pictures of the body. I don't think that he was photographing Barry so much as he was photographing the body, because he's from Earth 2, so he's investigating all the Earth 2 villains. On to number 4, Team Flash versus Atom Smasher. Most of you recognize him, but this is Edge from WWE. Very fun casting. He could come back. I mean, you're never truly dead in the DC universe, but I'm not expecting to see him again this season. Now in the comics, he doesn't need radiation the way he needed it in this episode to use his powers. I think they were just introducing that as a nice twist. And it's also kind of a reference to Nucleon, which was one of his other aliases. But on to number 3, Caitlin Snow and Mercury Labs. So even though she is working with Team Flash, I wonder if she's still going to continue her relationship with Mercury Labs. It just seems like there's too much rich, untouched territory in terms of story that they could use there. So they built this set at Mercury Labs. I have a feeling that they'll probably keep it, and it provides some interesting opportunities to surface Killer Frost powers. Caitlin Snow was confirmed as a metahuman last year. We just don't know when they're going to decide to turn her into Killer Frost, but if she's performing some biology experiment, that's typically the way the Killer Frosts have been created in the comics, is through biology experiments gone really, really bad with sub-zero temperatures. So that might end up happening at Mercury Labs. Speaking of new metahumans, number 2, Cisco uses his powers again without really realizing it. I think he kind of understood as it was happening, but he decides not to tell Joe about it. I am 96% sure that I am not responsible for all those electrical vices going off during the fight. Here's what I think is going on with Cisco. He is largely going to look like Cisco this season, but his power gives him the ability to see other timelines. So instead of it being like a flashback, it's going to be a flash sideways. Think of this year not so much as in time travel, but as in crossing to other universes, multiverse theory. The producers have confirmed that Gideon is no longer at Star Labs. It doesn't exist anymore, so they're not going to be getting knowledge about what happens in the future. Instead of fighting their future and fighting their past, they're going to be fighting sideways into another reality. So even though the theme of the episode is moving forward, think about the theme of the season as moving sideways. And of course, on my number 1 WTF moment, hello, my name is Jay Garrick. So as you can see right off the bat, Jay Garrick, Teddy Sears here, not nearly as old as the Jay Garrick that you usually see in the comics. He is from Earth 2, and he has been the Flash for a lot longer than Barry Allen has, so he's kind of going to be like a big brother to Barry, like a mentor. Here's the twist though, so if you remember in season 1, that's kind of what Harrison Wells was. Turns out he was the wolf in sheep's clothing, like the wolf in the hen house the entire season. That is why I don't think that Jay Garrick is secretly Zoom. I don't think they're going that route again. It'd be the exact same plotline as last year. I have seen some Flashpoint Henry Allen theories in that Batman of Flashpoint is Thomas Wayne, not Bruce Wayne, because Bruce is the one that died the night that his parents were supposed to die in the comics. So like what if on Earth 2, Barry Allen dies as a child, Henry Allen gets Flash powers, and then gets driven mad trying to save his son, turns into a big villain. That's also kind of a weak theory too, because why would he want to kill his son from Earth 2 if he were his father and he were trying to save him? Let me know who you think Zoom is right now. I still think the best theory is that it's an evil future version of Wally West. It's still someone that is close to the family. I mean, we don't really know what Wally West's relationship is to Joe West, but he's still going to be part of the Flash family. Or the other option is that it could be the Reverse Flash from the Golden Age, the Edward Claris Reverse Flash. Either way, we're going to meet Zoom for the first time in episode 2. That's called The Flash of Two Worlds. Now obviously that's the first time in the comics that Barry Allen met Jay Garrick, so there's some minor changes because they met in this episode, but we will be meeting Patty Spivot, who's another series regular. She's going to be in most of the episodes this season. And also, just because we're seeing Earth 2 villains this season doesn't mean we won't also see old villains come back from Earth 1. Like Gorilla Grodd will come back. There's no way they would do a season with The Flash without Gorilla Grodd. And I've already mentioned most of the comic book Easter eggs, but I feel like one of the best ones is Cisco's comic book reference here. I think I saw it in a comic book somewhere. My inclination is that this was just intended to be used in this episode. I don't think that we're going to see the Flash signal in like every single episode. It's not going to be like a Batman thing. But Cisco, totally on point. And he actually didn't get upset when Martin Stein stole the naming convention that usually goes to him. I think they gave Stein that moment just to make him feel like part of a team, as if naming a metahuman was part of his initiation to Team Flash. So for the short term, at least until Legends of Tomorrow starts, it seems like Martin Stein is going to be the new Harrison Wells, like the adult advisor in the group. I mean, they're all adults, but he's like the real adult. If any of you have seen Primer, I can't wait for like the Flash Primer episode, where he and Cisco just work through the science of the multiverse and just completely chart it out in excruciating detail. You guys are definitely thinking the same thing. There's no way they're ever going to do that, as awesome as it would be. Maybe DVD bonus features. All in all, just a great way to start the season. I'm super pumped. I think we're going to start to meet Legends of Tomorrow characters as we get in through the season. There's a whole bunch of stuff though, so don't expect to see everybody right at the same time. Just to give you guys an idea about Vandal Savage Legends of Tomorrow, that's episode 8. We're going to meet Vandal Savage in episode 8. That's the big Flash versus Arrow crossover. Last year, they made the comment that like you could watch the Arrow episode and the Flash episode out of order and they would still kind of make sense. This year, they said it's kind of like one giant story stretched out over 3 different shows. So it's really important that you watch Arrow whenever it airs and then Legends of Tomorrow next year when it premieres. But Legends of Tomorrow isn't going to start airing until like January, maybe even like February next year. I think it'll start in January. And just for reference, I am going to be doing Q&As for this and Arrow on Thursday. So just leave all your questions, and then after Arrow tomorrow, I'll post a Q&A on Thursday. So much awesome stuff coming next week. Can't wait to meet Patty Spivot. She's going to be an awesome character. Zoom, can't wait to see what his costume ends up looking like. So while you guys wait for that, you can click here for all my Arrow and Flash trailer videos, and you can click here for my Gotham episode that I just posted last night. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tomorrow.